Okay, cool. Why don't we get started? Thank you everyone for coming to our core biannual town hall. We do it once every semester. I'll just start by giving you a quick overview of what's going on today. It's basically just our annual info session, our semesterly info session. We have a lot of stuff to discuss and we'd love to get questions from you too. My name is Max Johnson. I'm a senior in the college studying philosophy, and I'm one of the co-presidents of CORE. I'm gonna hand it over to my co-president, Justin, in a few minutes. But we're just gonna warm up with like a couple interesting things, a couple interesting polls that'll be a little interactive. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen and we can go from there. So like I said, welcome to Town Hall. We are very excited to see you. We hope to be talking to a lot of you as we get into the semester too. We have a lot of cool stuff planned, whether you're applying to be an OCL or joining our general body. These are things that we're going to talk about in a sec. We're going to talk about an overview of our initiatives, an overview of our community, and how you can get involved. So this is all going to be stuff to come in a few minutes. But for now, let's just do a quick poll. Where in the world are you zooming in from today? So you can just go to this link, pollev.com/maxjohnson445. I'll send it in the chat real quick. Let me know if anyone has issues too. Oh, we have one answer. And we've got it seems like quite a bit of people here. So let's see where people are at. Okay. Well done, people that are calling in from, the Asia time zones. I'm sure it's extremely early for you, so we're especially appreciative of the fact that you're here. We have our own Sophie Pfeiffer. We have our own Sophie Pfeiffer here calling in from Hong Kong right now, so. Okay, cool. We're seeing a lot of Northeast, as we expected. We got Cali, we got Europe. We've got one in India, very cool. Wow, we have Asia. Okay, so we truly have a global crew on this call right now, which is great to hear. And that's pretty much the vibe that we go with this whole semester. We're obviously all doing things remotely, sometimes asynchronously. We're gonna get into that soon. But it's great to see that we have like a good representation of geography here. The second thing I wanted to do really fast, which is maybe more relevant to what we're going to talk about today, is this question of what does entrepreneurship mean to you? And so if you're on your phone and you were previously doing the world poll, this should update now and you can add in words like a word cloud. And so let's see what we get here. Ooh, I like change. Innovation, of course. Spontaneity, passion. Okay. Hope, I like that. Something for sure. It's definitely something, whoever added that one.
That's a great answer.
Starting, I like that idea. It's kind of what we're all doing, I guess, this semester, starting something new. Tenacity. Okay, so we're seeing a lot of patterns here. Let's see what else we have. We've got our very own Nassif Smerli calling in from Tunisia. Wow, we got the crews here. Cool, so I think the short answer to this is it's pretty much all of these things, right? And you probably expected I would say that, but we view entrepreneurship as a mindset and as a way of doing things, not just like you build a tech company, you studied CS, right? Like this is not the kind of identification with entrepreneurship that we are after. We're after a very broad strokes thing, thinking of how do we create things that impact people? How do we take responsibility for driving innovation? Yes, for creating new things, for starting something, and taking that thing to fruition to a point where it will do things, impact people, make the world better. So that's how I'd like to set the tone for this, this little town hall. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to my good friend and my co-president, Justin Saintiel, to get us going on some of our content for today. Justin?
Yes, thank you so much, Max. And thank you, really, really grateful for everyone deciding to spend the next hour with us here. We are excited to tell you about this brilliant organization that we've dedicated hours and time into building really cool things. And we're honored that you chose to join us today. So who am I? My name is Justin Saintiel. I am a junior in the engineering school studying biomedical engineering and philosophy. As Max said, I'm also the co-president of this amazing org. I joined CORE the first semester of my freshman year, and it has by far been probably the best decision I've made during my Columbia journey. So to get started, first, we understand that the last week and this week has been probably both super exciting and also super confusing with Zoom fatigue and meeting all these new people. So we're here to also be resources outside of entrepreneurship at Columbia. And hopefully we can give you quite a solid introduction to what we do here on campus, right? So CORE, the Columbia Organization of Rising Entrepreneurs, we are entrepreneurship at Columbia. We are the undergraduate entrepreneurship, the preeminent club, and we do everything with this focus of entrepreneurship for everyone. This is our guiding principle, similar to what Max said. We do not abide by this misconception that to be an entrepreneur, you have to be a CS major in the corner of a dorm room underneath something like coding all night, right? It's not something we believe in. We believe that anyone could be an entrepreneur, and it is our duty to supply people with the resources, education, know-how, connections, and tools to be able to build and solve all the problems that they want to solve, right? I personally am a believer that startups are probably the fastest way to get real change in different places and to get amplified effect, right? Similar to what Max was saying. So we truly believe in this entrepreneurship for everyone. It's not something we just throw on a slide and then throughout the year we're doing other things. This leads what we do in every conversation and every initiative that we'll get into later today. So we can switch the slide. So 3 main things that we abide by. One is this keeping community first. CORE probably has one of the most diverse and vibrant communities at Columbia. The people that you'll be able to work with are incredibly ambitious and driven, no matter if you are an OCL, which I'll explain what that means in a second, or part of our general body, or someone who just takes part in our speaker events or our larger scale initiatives. These are the people I would think you would want to be around, kind of following a lot of the words that people were putting earlier in that place. So community comes first. That means that we really are focused on our members and our friends reaching their full potential in the club, whether it's we're building something, we're focusing on their personal development. We are the largest proponents for the other members in the club, and we also have fun together, and we rest, and we will play games together and all these different things, even in our virtual space, right? So we're a true family, and these people that I've known for the last 2 years and I meet every day have special places in my heart, right? The second thing we have here is this inclusivity equals everything. As Max said in the beginning, startups is not only one sort of thing, right? Startups is a broad stroke idea. Even the idea of entrepreneurship could be applied to a lot of different domains, right? This design thinking, this how do we solve problems? How do we think out of the box? That's a mentality and not a business, not something that you see as raising billions of dollars, right? And funding. So we try to maintain that we are inclusive in the communities that we build, in the initiatives that we service, the populations that we service at Columbia, in our New York community, and globally, right? So you even see a picture there from one of the startups that joined us called Thinks, an amazing startup actually working on period underwear. We ensure to get all types of startups at our events, and connect with all types of founders, right? And the last thing that we have here is this dream big and act bigger. One of the funny things about CORE is I think normally when people come to us, the first thing they ask is like, you were the guys that brought DJ Khaled to campus, right? Like that happened. That did happen. We brought DJ Khaled. It was very cool. I don't know why he came, but we dream big. We aim for the biggest founders, the biggest people. We really try to have a large impact, and these could be the speakers that we do, that we bring to campus. both virtually and in person. This could be the accelerator that we have, so actually launching companies through our pipeline. This could be traveling the world and looking at different startup ecosystems. I had the opportunity to go to China my first year and learn about a startup ecosystem in Shanghai, which is one of the most insane things I've been able to do at Columbia. So we truly believe in these three things, and this is kind of what we're about. So what is an OCL? I mentioned it earlier. This is our operating committee leaders. A lot of the clubs that you are going to go to like these town halls for have a variation of this. Sometimes they're called operating committee members, all these different classifications. But our OCLs run all of our initiatives. They essentially run the club. Right? So if you're an OCL, this could be that you're ahead of a certain initiative, or you just work on creating things that happen, whether they're speaker events or all the other things that we will mention. And as you can see, we have a bunch of different adjectives and things around the box there. OCLs are really what drives a lot of what core does. However, that is not the only way to be involved with core. We have a general body, which is this really vibrant thing that we're starting kind of from the ground up. And also in certain initiatives, we have other communities that you could join, meet people through. So OCLs is probably the position that leads to building things and doing more of that stuff, but there's so many different ways to get involved with what core does. And then in terms of OCL commitments, the actual leaders that we have in our group, these are kind of the four basic commitments. I'm a firm believer that you get out what you put in, and that's especially true when it comes to core. So the three baseline commitments we have here is one, attending our monthly all hands meetings. This is when all of our OCLs come together and talk about things that they're building, things in core that they're working on, achievements that they've been through. This is really a time when everyone could get together and just vibe with all core related and personal related stuff. Next, we have to show up for at least 3 core events per semester. This is kind of obvious. Please, if you are an OCL, you attend other things that we're putting on. Next, we have probably the biggest one, which is participate in planning and running at least one initiative or event per semester. And the next stage here, we'll talk about what these events or initiatives are. And lastly, joining in on our core hangouts and other social events. As I said, first, community is the most important thing here, right? So please join our social events, please join our hangouts, even over Zoom, doing like Netflix parties and stuff. This is important, right? So that is kind of the primer on what core is and what the OCL position means. Next, I'm going to pass it off to my friend, my very good friend, Lord here, to talk about our first initiative, Founder School. So Lord, take it away.
Yeah, thank you. Wonderful introduction and overview of like what core really means to us. Definitely has a special place in my heart as well. Just kind of going over Founder School. Founder School is a weekly class focused on learning the fundamentals of entrepreneurship and how to start a venture or business. This class is peer-led, meaning that it's led by core members. They can either be teaching assistants or actual instructors. So instructors basically lead the lectures and teaching assistants assist and run office hours, but everyone that runs this class has a place in the course curriculum, activities that happen during the session, and basically establishing relationships with participants post the class. Some of the topics covered during this class, just to like kind of briefly go over it, are market research, customer discovery, team building, product design, what a problem is, what a viable solution looks like, and a lot more. Something really cool about this class is that you don't have to go every week. Obviously, like we want people to go every week, but you can kind of come in when you want and just learn about topics that really fascinate you. And that's kind of how I got into Founder School before actually working on the course curriculum. Thanks. So yeah, Justin pretty much hinted at this a lot, and a lot of other people in the chat, but something that's really key to what we do are speaker events. And it's really like the main and easiest way that other people outside of the core community get a sense of what we do and what we value. As you can see in this picture, we have DJ Khaled. That was one of the highest, highest popularity events that we had. Also moderated by Ariana Huffington, co-founder of Huffington Post. In the past, we've also had the CEO of Twitter, Andrew Yang, Arlen Hamilton, which is the founder of Backstage Capital. And kind of switching gears, since we've been doing everything virtually, we've actually been able to reach a wider set of speakers, given that they don't really have to come to New York or to Columbia University. They just have to basically sign on to a Zoom link. So we've actually been able to get the CEO of YC, the founder of Harlem Capital, director of e-commerce at Casper, and many more in the last few months. So it just kind of shows like the direction that we can head forward and just like the endless possibilities in terms of people we can bring to campus.
And on the note of campus, CORE engages not only with the undergraduate network, but also the broader Columbia community. A great example of that is through Startup Columbia or the Columbia Venture Competition, which are planned in collaboration with Columbia Entrepreneurship. We help host festivals now happening virtually, or the Venture Competition, which has thousands of dollars in non-dilutive funding awarded to startups founded by students affiliated with Columbia in different dimensions. And so it's just one of the ways that we impact not only our immediate core network, but also work and partner with the broader Columbia community to really drive that together. Yeah.
Classic mute issue. And talking more about like campus and what we do for students, this is New Student Town Hall. We wanted to talk to new people to Columbia to really connect with them specifically about like the student experience they're entering. And we've actually always been doing this. So one of the things that we've been doing for a while is called EVE, Entrepreneurship via Exploration. Essentially what we do is we take freshmen across the 4 schools and introduce them to founders all over the city. And usually we do this in person, but right now we're figuring out how to do that in an adaptive format. And we do all kinds of fun events, and really it takes a cohort of people that are new to Columbia, new to New York probably, and just gets them out into the ecosystem. So this is another kind of cool thing we do for students.
Hi everyone, my name is Maya. I am a rising junior at GS, and I'm originally from Tunis, Tunisia. So Blueprint Designathon, I'm very excited to talk about this because it's actually coming soon. Shout out to, I think, Bella, Sajad, Max, who are on this call and who are actually organizing this event. So essentially, Blueprint Designathon is a human-centered design challenge focused on developing innovative solutions to local issues. So that the idea is to, through the challenge, use design education to create solution to problems that communities are facing. So what's exciting is that we're currently working on the next challenge that is going to be, that we're hosting in October. It's in less than a month, you all. It's very exciting. It's in less than a month, and we're actually co-hosting it with Design for America. Yeah, so in the past, last year, for example, the theme was centered around smart cities. This year, in light of the upcoming US elections, the pandemic, but also accessibility disparities, our theme is voting and democracy, and with a focus on redesigning the voting system in America. So what's interesting about Designathon is that you can be involved in so many different parts of the event. You can be part of the event design group, for example, where you need to design the structure of the event. You can be part of the outreach team who's going to be in contact with a bunch of people to invite them to come to educate ourselves on the theme. We can be part of the curriculum activity who's actually designing the actual program of the event. So, and get to work hands-on with the entire team. So it was an incredible experience. If any of you are even interested to be a participant, stay tuned on our Instagram and Facebook. It's happening next month.
Yeah, so Elevate is actually CORE's newest initiative. We are focused on uplifting underrepresented communities within CORE, Columbia community, West Harlem, and beyond. So what this looks like, basically hosting speaker events that uplift these underrepresented backgrounds, making sure that we're recruiting those voices into CORE, and interacting with West Harlem community. One way that we did this very recently was the Black Innovation Fund, where we basically chose a few places that we thought could benefit from receiving funds from the Columbia community, and we're further building relationships with those organizations as we speak. This organization is very, very important to me, and I feel like a lot of people on this call, including Jess, Bella, I'm sorry if I'm missing anyone else who's very involved in Elevate. And we have a lot of more stuff coming up soon that will be very exciting, including interacting with underrepresented student founders on campus. Yeah.
Hey everyone, my name is Kobe and I'm a board member of CORE. In addition to all of our initiatives that aim to educate and inspire members of the Columbia community and beyond about entrepreneurship, we also have a suite of programs designed to actionably help founders on campus. And one of those is Almaworks. As the leader of Almaworks, I should just explain what it is. Almaworks is Columbia University's flagship startup accelerator. So we take a cohort every semester of 8 to 10 companies over the course of 8 weeks, and it was founded in 2015. We've had 70 Columbia affiliated companies so far that have gone on to do some really cool things. And OCLs and members of CORE are at the heart of organizing Almaworks and its initiatives. So if you can go to the next slide, there are some really cool opportunities to contribute in a hands-on way at Almaworks. One, recruitment, publicizing the opportunity to the Columbia community, evaluating startups that are business school run or Columbia Law School run, undergrads too, helping run our social media, reach out to mentors and business executives and other successful founders in the Columbia community, outreach to VCs for our demo day, a fellowship program connecting Columbia undergrads to startups in the community, which Noga helps run, as well as partnerships with corporate and legal partners and a whole host of other opportunities to get involved. And so it's been really exciting, and there are lots of opportunities to contribute on the organizing side of Almaworks. The next slide also indicates that CORE, in addition to helping external companies or Columbia affiliated companies, CORE, internal to CORE, many of our OCLs go on to launch businesses. And so if you're a founder, if you're working on a venture, or you're thinking about working on a venture and just want to be around a lot of smart people who are thinking about business and entrepreneurship in a serious way, these are just a select list of companies that have that CORE OCLs have spawned, many of which have gone to YC or raised seed funding. So it's a great network in that sense. And finally, on this next slide, just a collection of links for those who are interested. And this deck will be sent out to anyone. So you can either take a screenshot now or see it later. If you're a student founder and have a student venture, you can apply to the accelerator at this first link. If you're interested in working at a Columbia affiliated startup as a fellow for the duration of the semester, or perhaps longer, you can apply to the Almaworks Fellowship there. And this last link is also at the end of this slideshow, but if you are interested in organizing Almaworks and contributing to some of the initiatives shown before, then that's the link, the organizer link there is where you can apply to be a CORE OCL. Passing it off to Lord for Tiger Launch.
So amazing example of how CORE has interacted with other groups outside of Columbia. In specific, Tiger Launch was a national competition headed by Princeton Entrepreneurship. And basically we had a very strong relationship with Princeton in the past. And they basically wanted us to run the Northeastern regionals for Tiger Launch. And what this consisted of was basically recruiting founders in the New York area. And that includes Columbia founders that we were already in contact with for this competition where they can win funds, connection to judges, these judges being heavily involved in venture capital and can really bring their startups to the next level. And so this ran very successfully, and we got to get connections with founders outside of New York and just meet a whole host of new people from different schools.
Cool, and in theme of getting out there and seeing the world and meeting new people, we offer a program called Global Tech Treks, which is something we have done every year. We're skeptical about obviously doing it during coronavirus, but typically we take a group of students to a new country, something like Paris, London, Tel Aviv, We did Shanghai last year, and they get to meet founders from that scene, other students interested in entrepreneurship, kind of build their worldview, see how entrepreneurship works in a different context. And this is all also supported by the university. They actually help subsidize it, so it's a good opportunity for us to take people to sort of new frontiers of entrepreneurship. And here's some cute pics. These are all, I think, from London, Paris. But while you're at these places, you get to do fun stuff too. You don't just, you're not just in meetings all day listening to people. You're actually seeing the city, seeing the sites, but also meeting great people in entrepreneurship.
Yep, and the last initiative that we have here is our general body. This is something that we've recently started actually, and this essentially is an opportunity where founders and aspiring founders, people who want to be building things and interfacing with people who are building things, could come here, meet like-minded people, maybe recruit for different teams that they're starting, different projects that they're starting, or just get feedback on a lot of what they might be building. As you can see here, this is a picture from an in-person social that we did last year for Thanksgiving. And the wonderful decorations on the side is a result of my friend Nassif, who I believe is in this Zoom room right now. He was in charge of the decorations. It was amazing. So this is another opportunity to be connected to other people in the entrepreneurship ecosystem at Columbia. In addition to in-person and Zoom events, we also have a virtual community on Slack, right? So this is a place where you could network with different people, talk about things you're building, get feedback, interface directly with core, and later in the presentation, we will have the link to join that Slack community and some more information on what it means to be a part of our general body. So this is another amazing opportunity to get connected with people at Columbia.
Hi everyone, my name is Ariel. You can't bring the best of what Columbia entrepreneurship has to offer without enjoying who's working by your side. And as a transfer student who joined last year, I can understand what it's like starting a new school. I mean, I've literally done it twice. But to be honest, the community of lifelong friends and peers that core provides is incredibly welcoming and makes you feel like a part of the team as soon as you walk through that door. And it's an incredible group of people who honestly, you just learn more about each and every time you meet them. And I know it sounds like cheesy, but curious together, living together, and friends together is really not a BS statement. And now to the numbers. We are a pretty diverse group of students on campus with over 17 different majors, members hailing from all 4 big schools from Columbia undergraduate. We have over 45 operating committee leaders, as Justin stated earlier, a relationship with over 250 startups and over 1,500 students annually attending our events, both on and off campus. And these are some awesome photos from our social events. That's the lower one is a group of, I think, Tech Treks ones. And then these are our events outside of school. We have dinners, we go to the park, we have a really good time together. And really, it's an incredible time, an incredible experience, and an incredible community.
To Ariel's point, it's such an incredible community that people don't like to completely leave us. Our alumni are incredibly active. They stay in our circles, they stay messaging us. And because of that, every year we have this alumni reunion. We have different alumni breakfasts where we connect with them, hear about their careers, hear about how their kind of career trajectory has been impacted by core and by Columbia. And it's a wonderful way to network with people, to get mentorship. We actually do a mentorship program each semester where alums pair with some of our OCLs to do everything from personal development, career development. They're working on a venture. All these different types of mentorship happens here. And this is really because of how tight-knit our community is and the feeling of our individual members wanting to give back. So alumni is very active. We do a newsletter as well. This is another initiative that you could get involved with if you were to apply to become an OCL. So community is everything here, as I've said many, many times throughout this press.
Here we have the members of our board, and one of our core values is diversity and inclusion, especially across geographic lines. Our board members come from not only the East Coast, but from the West Coast and from the South, across the United States and beyond, to Africa and Asia. And these global opportunities are, while this global reach does provide some incredible opportunities, such as consulting for Tunisian startups this past summer, which was an amazing experience, but also provides a broad range of perspectives and ideas on almost all our meetings and almost all our discussions. And that's something we really do love and something we really do value. And now the OCL experiences from across the board. Just to reiterate, OCL stands for Operating Committee Leader. And if you join, that would technically be your position within the club. And these are the people who make up the meat of core, right? Because for OCL to join a variety of initiatives, as we stated above, like Founders School or Almaworks or, Global Tech Treks. And what's so unique with the OCL experience is that it really is your own. And you could really do with it with what you want within core's initiatives. For example, if you want to work internally and work with startups, go for Almaworks. If you want to educate Columbia's amazing student body, go for Founders Schools. If you want to plan a trip for across the world, go to Global Tech Treks. The OCL experience is hard to pin down because it really is what you want to do, and it's an incredible experience any way you cut it.
Thank you so much, Ariel, for the framing. And I think to what people were saying earlier, and as you can see in the chat, so much of the growth that you get from being an OCL in core is from our community and friends who are also brilliant students and innovators and minds, but there are also more concrete perks to being an OCL in core. The first, in terms of knowledge, you learn informally, you learn from experience in planning initiatives. Core will also sponsor participation in events and conferences if there are things that you're passionate about, unique access to speakers and to thought leaders, and it provides you with a platform to engage in more depth with our broader community. As Ariel and Justin both hinted at, there's an incredible network once you join core, both in terms of the alumni through mentorship programs and informal communications, but also from past speakers who've engaged with core. We have employers in our network. And so just the access to people that you have in being an OCL expands drastically. And finally, being in core, people on campus know what core is, the Career Center knows what core is, and it's just one more way to build a path to future opportunities over the summer for employment. Anecdotally, people on this call have found internships through core connections. People have found jobs through their connections from core. And so it's just another way to grow and develop in your time at Columbia and on campus. And then on the next slide, I'd put an asterisk next to journey in the sense that there is no one way to participate in core or to be an OCL. Everyone has a unique experience dependent on their interests and the time that they're willing to commit, and their ways of leading. But sort of generally, if you were to join core as an OCL, you'd spend your first semester in our Core X program where you'd build community with your cohort of OCLs and get to interface with more experienced members of the organization, and concurrently learn our rhythms and mechanisms of planning events and getting involved, and figuring out really like what the toolkit is to be a successful OCL and developing that alongside your new friends. After that one semester, and even during the semester, you can participate in initiatives, which everyone has described in depth, and you can find more about on our website. But whether that be through leading an initiative, through owning certain pieces of initiative, through developing your own initiative and bringing your own visions into fruition, you have the sort of like the ability and mobility to get involved with what you want, however you want. Something that Kobe told me when I first joined that resonated is initiatives don't always last forever. Sometimes they'll fizzle out, and it's because they're really driven by students who are passionate about moving them forward. And so core any given semester looks different based on the people in it. And this is sort of your opportunity to define what that is. And then upperclassmen participate in core in a multitude of ways. Oftentimes they'll serve as mentors to newer OCLs, either through the Core X program informally, or we have like a familial system. And we also, as I sort of mentioned earlier, have access to a host of professional development opportunities, and we focus those resources primarily on our seniors who are looking ahead post their collegiate experience. And this is just one more way to sort of get a leg up into the workforce, especially, in the current economic situation. And then concurrently, there are just a multitude of ways in which OCLs get involved informally or formally. So an example of that is All Hands, which Justin talked about earlier, but we'll also have social events. People will hang out in the context of core, outside of the context of core. I FaceTime Lord like every night. And so there are just a lot of different ways in which you can be an OCL. There isn't one defined way of doing so, but this is just sort of a overview of how to get involved. And if you go one slide over, we wanted to invite a few of our star OCLs to provide their experiences so you can get a sort of sense of what those different journeys look like. And we'll start off with Shireen.
Hello guys, I am so excited to be here. I just had like 2 seminars back to back and it was 4 hours total, but even after that I feel super energetic, and I would credit that to Core. So, you know, I think you're getting the vibe where I'm going with all this, but I will try my best to give you my raw experience when it comes to Core and not maybe make it like a sellout. But again, I'm Shireen. I'm located in Brooklyn, New York. Tentative computational neuroscience major. I'm a rising sophomore. And yeah, welcome everyone. I am so happy that all of you guys are here. And first I'll start off talking a little bit about the community here. I think that's the best part. And honestly, I think college is not just about the classes and professors we interact with, but also the people. And Core has made a fundamental difference in my first year on campus. For example, we had like a scavenger hunt where we got to like interact with other members and get to know each other and go all around New York City. And I feel like I didn't get to explore that right away. So it was just like a lot of fun to interact with one another. Another great component is that, as you can see, we have so many different initiatives. None of it ever felt like someone was ordering me what to do. There was always like a very comfortable like task delegation, which makes it very effortless and also gives us a lot of freedom, which brings me to my next point. You get to create a lot of things. Oftentimes on campus, I feel like on my classes, like we talk about problems and there are less solutions. Whereas when I come to Core, I get to create things that I find value in. And it just feels really valuable to be solution oriented and really talk about important things like access, right? And that kind of reminds me of one of our initiative, which I don't know if we touched upon, which is like the high school Core Youth initiative that we have. Essentially, we try to make entrepreneurship accessible to high school students and give them an early start almost, but also we care deeply about accessibility. So we outreach to a lot of high schools that may have underrepresented students and or come from like an underrepresented background. But yeah, and also I know like a concern might be that we're virtual and how would that look like? But in my point of view, I think sometimes being online can get rid of that initial imposter syndrome when you join like a new organization and you see everyone else's highlight or you see people doing more than you. But in a way now, because we're all behind a screen, we can like ask each other more comfortably for suggestions, how we can ease into this. And everyone's just so understanding. So yeah, that's my experience thus far. If you have any questions, feel free to type in the chat, or you can even email me later personally if you have any specific question or anything at all.
Thank you so much, Shireen. And we will continue by passing it off to Ariana on the next slide.
Yay! Hey everyone, I'm Ariana. As you can see, I'm a financial econ major and doing a minor in philosophy. I'm known in Core as the Greek girl who talks about Greece all the time. So I'll continue that tradition by mentioning it here. And anyone that wants to learn, more stuff about Greece, here I am. But on the most important thing here, more stuff about Core. I joined Core because I had two startups back in Greece, which both of them failed completely. So, I come all the way from Athens and I'm like, what should I do to learn how to not fail in entrepreneurship? And I'm like, most obvious thing, join the biggest entrepreneurship community on campus. And I do that. And the things I've learned were like so mind-blowing. I came just to start and build something tangible. But from my involvement in Founder School, for example, where I started as a TA there, thinking I knew everything about, how to operate, how to be the perfect CEO, I realized I knew nothing. So it was super overwhelming in the beginning. Going over the material, trying to, teach other people what you really are not sure about in the first place. But then my second semester, I became a teacher and I felt, so much more complete of learning stuff about entrepreneurship, because when you're a founder, you think that, in some way the puzzle will click, you're going to find it out. People will might give you suggestions and criticism, but you won't really execute on it. So seeing it from the other side of the picture, from the more educational part, you really get to see, how you need to zoom out as a CEO and really understand what is happening and go out, test your idea and get feedback. And from my involvement in Almaworks, by meeting so many cool people starting stuff in Colombia and like seeing their ideas and how they think, this really shaped the way I was able to judge and find cool startups out there and land my first internship, which funny enough, it was through Core as well. One rainy day, I went to a speaker event we had, and it was like a Friday night, so like few people came, and that enabled me to have a very one-on-one conversation with the founder. And I sent my resume the next day, and I found my first internship in my second semester, which was super cool. So what I want to say, like from all this rambling, I know Serene was much more organized, is that you join Core with like one idea in mind, but it's really so much more. It's a full experience where you learn how to be a good leader, how to be a good organizer and like operational person, how to do design from like the simple banners or flyers we're gonna post on like Instagram or we're gonna print out before the COVID era. You really get to change so many hats and gain so much insight in many different things that you can never imagine. And also it's like obvious to say that some of the closest friends of mine are in Core, and I think that speaks to the community Core has been able to build through all those years. So if you have any questions on like Founder School, Almaworks, or Greece, or anything in the matter, feel free to really text me, because I'm very passionate about Core, and always fun to grab a coffee if you're in New York, or do a gradual a Zoom coffee whenever you feel that you want to.
Thank you so much, Ariana. And our last spotlight will be with Bella.
Hello, everybody. Thank you again for spending your time with us this evening, afternoon, wherever you may be. I'm Bella. I am a Core OCL. I'm also head of outreach for Core Elevate, which is our diversity and inclusion initiative. And I also do lots of outreach, editing, graphic stuff, anything need be on lots of different initiatives that we do. Wow, joining Core has been truly the best decision that I've made thus far in college. Besides choosing Columbia, I think that joining Core has been the second best decision. I'm so grateful for the people that I've met, the connections that I've made, the different places that I've gone. I remember one of my favorite moments from Core has been the field trips that we were able to go on. So we, as a new OCL, we got to go to New Lab in Brooklyn in Hudson Yards. And it was just incredible to be in a space that was filled with all of these different companies practicing frontier tech. And what that is like the most cutting edge of the most cutting edge. And so I remember just being fascinated by one company who builds vegan leather out of like collagen cells, and they're able to make it into bike seats, they're able to make it into clothing, anything, and just the level of like intersection that has. And later on we were able to bring their CEO Sean Stewart actually to speak with our students as part of Building Blocks. So Building Blocks is like a kind of a startup in itself, but more of like an educational program that spawned from Core by two of our brilliant members and a former president of ours, Irene Koo and Justice Betty. And so me and Shireen and Jess, we were all able to teach groups of students, first from Amman, and then the second week we were able to teach a group of students from Istanbul the basics of social entrepreneurship. And that was all in tandem, or rather in collaboration with Columbia's global centers in Amman and in Istanbul. Never would I have been able to do that if I hadn't joined Core. And I joined the first semester of my sophomore year. So I waited a bit and I was like, I don't really know much about entrepreneurship, but I'm an artist, I write, I paint, I make films, I do performance art sometimes, whatever I can really do. And joining core, I was like, I don't know if this is really the space for me. Like, I don't know if they can use kind of like a random creative like I am. Everyone seems so linear. I think in circles. I don't know how this is going to work. But let's just try it. And it's been spectacular. I definitely have found my niche. I've found wonderful friends. We've spent so much time together, from getting ready for Global Tech Treks, which, as we know, didn't go according to plan as we thought this spring break, but we were going to go to Rio and Sao Paulo and focus more on like social entrepreneurship than years past. And but even from that, as we were getting ready for it, with like the months leading up to it, we went to all these different Brazilian restaurants and had wonderful meetings and chats. And it's just been so delightful being part of CORE. And I'm constantly baffled and in awe of the people that I get to work with and the people that I meet. And I never would have met this like pocket of people if I hadn't joined CORE. And so for me, CORE is truly its people and the brilliant ideas that come out of our collaboration, being from so many different backgrounds, studying so many different things, being from literally all around the world. And I can't recommend it enough. I would say follow me on Instagram or DM me if you want to learn more. I can also just give you guys my email. I'll put it in the chat. But I love CORE. Join CORE.
Thank you so much, Bella. And I think to that point, you're getting a lot of information right now and seeing a lot of different faces. And if there's any story that resonates or you want to reach out to someone to learn more about something that they said, I think you have all of our emails in the Columbia Network, or we can drop them in the chat. But feel free to reach out and clarify, and we'll have coffee chats later next week. More information about that to come. But we'll hear next from Sophia.
Hi, I'm Sophia. I am a junior. I'm majoring in sustainable development and business management. So I also kind of come at this with not a classical econ major, and I'm always happy to talk if you're ever interested in like urban studies, sustainable development. As we had said earlier, this is a crazy time to be entering college, and we really want to make sure that CORE is a family, regardless of the fact that we are remote. So we've said it a million times, but community, community, community. Even though we're remote, we've still been doing things throughout the summer. I think Lord actually touched on some of these earlier. We even launched the redesign of our website this summer. We had the Almaworks Fellowship, which Kobe had talked about earlier. We also partnered with Harvard and their undergraduate entrepreneurship group for an accelerator. We had the founders of Harlem Capital and the partners come as a part of Elevate. And we hosted the CEO of Y Combinator, Michael Siebel, as Lord had mentioned earlier. So we've been pretty busy, and we want to reassure all of you that we are still very active this fall, despite the fact that we're all located in all these different time zones and around the world. And then, okay. And then for new students specifically, whether or not you're a transfer, one of my good friends, Ariel, who's on here, transferred last fall. So you're definitely not alone if you're a transfer or if you're first year. Please, please join our community. We are so happy to have new members. I personally know, coming in as a first year, I didn't know anyone at Columbia. I was so totally nervous. Actually, the former president ended up reaching out to me multiple times and was like, let's grab coffee. Let me help you out with any classes or picking professors, and definitely join our community. We have the OCL role, which was mentioned earlier, but also we just encourage everyone to go ahead and join our general body so that either way, you can get involved with CORE. And it's mentioned before, but definitely reach out to any of us if you're interested, or if you see someone who has a major that you're thinking about and you want recommendation for classes, or you want to grab coffee. I'm also in the New York area, so definitely reach out. And then I see certain questions coming in the chat, and we're going to get to those in a minute. But for staying in the loop, here are our different socials. You'll be able to find all of the events that we're hosting on our Facebook, our Instagram, our Twitter, and you can go ahead and join the general body Slack here. And again, these slides will be posted, I believe. And so we'll have all of this stuff to be able to join. You can also go on our website very easily and join our Slack and our newsletter. And then I think we have our application on the next slide for the OCL role. The deadline is September 19th. So you can either scan the QR code or you can apply through the bit.ly. But definitely apply, always ask us questions. We're gonna be hosting some like informal Zoom coffee chats where you can basically just ask questions. So definitely get in touch if you are interested. I know some of you have already been emailing. And last but not least, we want to give you guys the opportunity to ask us any questions that you have. So if you want to jump in now, feel free to, I don't know, I mean, we can raise our hands, but depending on how many, I mean, you guys can just kind of jump in. We're always happy to field questions, and it can be targeted to one or two people or to an initiative, or it can just be very generally about core. We're happy to answer anything.
Yeah, I'm going to stop sharing now so that we can see everyone's faces and we can do some questions. Take a picture of this if you want, but you can also find the info on our site, Core at CU, and yeah, we'll take it from there.
Hi, could I jump in?
Yeah.
Awesome. So I am a transfer student. This is my first year at Columbia, and I'm so excited to be a part of such a vibrant and passionate and capable community. But I'm wondering how many opportunities there are for social entrepreneurship within CORE.
Yeah, does anyone want to take that? I can take it. Yeah, we don't have an organized system for this. We just want to have a conversation. But in terms of social entrepreneurship, it depends on what you mean. I think let's always like act with the caveat that you can create things, right? So if you have a vision of something you want to do, we're there as a core community to help OCLs build stuff, right? So whether you're augmenting something that we do now, or whether you want to build a new thing out. So there's that caveat, right? If you had something in mind, we could do that. On the other side of things, we do have a variety of ways for getting at social entrepreneurship. Most recently, we've done it by education. We mentioned previously, Shireen was mentioning our sort of like our alums went on and did this thing called Building Blocks, which is the educational nonprofit essentially that focuses on getting students all over the world involved in social entrepreneurship. So there's that aspect of things. And then also our initiative called Blueprint Designathon, which is totally open to all students here too. You don't have to be an organizer, you can just come. That is oriented towards solving the most like difficult social issues with entrepreneurship too, and design. So a couple things there.
And from that, Max and I specifically in Blueprint Designathon have been speaking to representatives from different voting and lobbying groups, such as League of Women Voters, the Center for Civic Design, the Brennan Center for Justice. The list goes on and on and on and on. And so it's been wonderful to be able to meet with them directly and talk about the issues and case studies, gather case studies rather, that we can then offer to our participants in Designathon to help think about the real life and real-time solutions that we can make in our immediate communities. And I'd also point back to the work of we've been doing with CU Elevate, which is our newest initiative, and specifically our Democratizing FinTech series that we just had. We had a wonderful opportunity. I got to moderate, which I was really excited about, when we spoke with Mr. Wole Koksum, who's the head of Mobility Capital Finance, which is a FinTech focused on serving underbanked folks around the US. And bringing banks directly to folks in their communities, whether that be at like local shops, bodegas, corner stores, and then also investing and promoting Black home ownership by using rent payments to build credit. So there are so many different intersections. And as somebody who studies urban studies and also is an English babe, there have been so many different people who have fed me in that way, focusing more on social entrepreneurship. Does that answer your question, Julia?
Yeah, for sure. It seems like you already have a pretty strong network as well as opportunities for new ideas.
Absolutely. We thrive on new ideas. So that's why we're so excited for you and for everyone else to join us.
I'll also add that Almaworks has taken scalable nonprofits and social entrepreneurship initiatives. In addition, in the Intercollegiate Accelerator we put on this past summer with Harvard and MIT, we had a social entrepreneurship panel, the founders of One for the World, Issue Voter, Gift a Meal, and a number of other founders of social entrepreneurship ventures. But at the end of the day, it's contingent on what the OCLs and what the club members are passionate about. And so CORE can be an outlet, and CORE has been a platform for people to take their interests to the next level.
And I also just wanted to loop in, I think Jennifer mentioned that it seems like it could be very product/investment oriented, but I think it's really a matter of what you make out of it. Like aside from CORE, the things that I've learned here, as Ariana mentioned, it's very transferable. So I interned for Issue Voter this summer, and the founder is a social entrepreneur, but it also has a nonprofit label, but at the same time it has like an innovative like revenue model, and essentially what I learned from CORE allowed me to understand how those things intersects, and just really helped my work there throughout the summer.
Awesome. I guess the long and short of it is there are a lot of choice. Anyone have another question? Please feel free to jump in.
Yeah, I had a quick question. I was just wondering what the difference is between the general body and becoming an OCL.
Yeah, so the general body and becoming an OCL. Justin, actually, because you're most in on general body, why don't you take that?
Absolutely. So what an OCL does is it's really built into a lot of these initiatives that we're talking about. So these programs that we're building, the OCLs are in charge of creating those and executing on those initiatives. The general body is different from that almost entirely. The general body is more for people who are entrepreneurs themselves, who are looking into building things and are trying to find like-minded people at a similar stage. And because of that, we do a lot of these offline events where you could just network with people, meet people, pitch your idea, get feedback on it. So it's very different. OCL is the active position inside of CORE that is planning a lot of these things and is connecting with that. And this general body is this kind of larger, more general position for all people to join and work on what they're working on. So two very different positions, and feel free to reach out if you want any more clarification with that.
Got it. And just to clarify, do members of the general body usually attend the events that the OCLs creates, or is that also like a third group?
No, the members of the majority of our events, almost all of our events probably, are open to anyone. So general body members could join, that is open. So yeah, great question.
Got it. All right, thanks.
Any more guys? Shoot.
So I have a question about Almaworks, the Almaworks programs.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't have to be a member of CORE to apply to the Almaworks accelerator and the fellowship program, or is it just like open for any applications? Yeah.
So if you are a student founder and you are currently working on a venture and you would like to apply on behalf of your venture to the Almaworks Accelerator, that does not require any affiliation with CORE as an OCL or general body member. Any Columbia affiliate is eligible to apply to Almaworks. The same is true to the Almaworks Accelerator. The same is true of the fellowship. If you're interested in working at a Columbia affiliated startup for the duration of the semester or longer, any Columbia affiliated undergrad, and we've even had grad students apply as well. If you would like to be an operator, a member of the Almaworks organizing team, and help create resources for other Columbia founders and Columbia startups, that does require becoming an OCL. And all of those links for those three opportunities are on the deck, which will be sent out after. And feel free, by the way, if anybody else has questions about Almaworks, you can email almaworks@columbia.edu, and I'll put in the email address in the chat right now.
Further questions? Come on, guys, there's 55 of you. There's no more questions?
Anyone?
I got a question.
Go for it.
Hi, guys. Andreas, nice to meet you guys. Thanks for the great presentation. I was just curious if there's a relationship between CORE and graduate school programs, business school, and what those connections are like.
Yeah, sure. I can just mention it briefly. So CORE is an undergrad entrepreneurship organization. Technically, that means that Columbia restricts the kind of people that can be our OCLs, right? So it has to be undergrads from GS, Barnard, CC, or Cs. There are other organizations that we partner with in the different schools. The closest one to us is called CEO, Columbia Entrepreneurs Organization. It's essentially core in the business school. And so we've had really good relationship with those guys over the years. So that's like sort of a formal and informal relationship that we've had with them. But we partner with all kinds of organizations to run the initiatives too. So for example, at Designathon, we get students from all kinds of organizations across the graduate student body too. We did so last year. It was cool to just see random people show up, but also clubs specifically in the grad student community plug our initiatives through their channels, and then we get like a really, I guess, holistic community of people that's not just undergrads, but it really feels like Greater Columbia. So hope that answers your question.
Also, like at Almaworks, we had MBA mentorship this summer, which is like a great way of looping in the business school.
Awesome, thank you.
Hi, sorry, just jumping in. I was kind of excited to ask this because it might be kind of personal, but I wanted to ask about the prior experience that you had with entrepreneurship before joining CORE.
I can answer this. So, hey everyone, my name is Jess. I'm a current OCL. I'm a junior right now at Barnard, and I am the co-lead for CORE Elevate. Before joining CORE, I did this 1-week program through Columbia. Not sure if they're offering it this year just because everything's online and stuff, but it's called JADE, which is Jumpstarting Aspiring Developers and Entrepreneurs, and it's a week-long immersive program where you just visit startups, companies, you learn how to code, and it's really awesome. You like make a great community. So that's my only like background, a week. And I applied, I got in, and I have learned so much. Like, I'm kidding, like I'm not kidding you. Like, I have, you know, hit up the most important people over email, and they'll respond to me just because I have a Barnard email address and I say I'm from CORE, which is really awesome to see the amount of power that you have. And you learn so much along. I've learned how to be a leader. I've learned how to be productive with my time, you know, lead initiatives, and, you know, so many other things. So if I'm being honest, you really don't need to have any experience with entrepreneurship. You just have to have an interest in wanting to learn more.
Yeah,
that's absolutely right.
I would jump on that as well. Jess had just a 1-week thing, but I didn't have anything at all. So I'm an international student, and I came to the US, and I was like, oh, everyone knows so much what's going on. But like, I think the community gives you everything you need. So Justin reached out to me. We had like a good coffee chat at the start. Max, I remember when I first joined CORE, like he reached out, and the former presidents. So when you join, you'll get the community and you get everything you need to learn. Like, they'll support you, they'll provide you with the platform. So it's really cool. You really don't need to know anything. You just need to have an interest.
Yeah, just one more thing. Sorry to cut you off.
No, go.
But like I said, just with having CORE and having your email, like you could reach out to so many people and have a panel. Like, say you want Glossier, or you want like Thinks, or you want Outdoor Voices to come and like have a panel about like their marketing and why they started and how they gain money and like just their whole entire brand. You could do that. And you take the initiative of doing that, and you get the people, and you organize, and you do the marketing, and you'll have an amazing event.
Absolutely. I just wanted to kind of summarize that by saying there's no expectations. Everyone has different levels of depth, from like really deep to nothing, and we come together as a community to kind of round that out and grow together. And the only thing you come with, I think, is like an attitude that like you want to learn, and I think that's the most important part. But since we're over by 7 minutes, we just want to be conscious of people's time. Zoom is going to get intense through the semester, so let's try to keep it concise. I'll just like to say you can reach out through our contact forms, whatever you have our information based on the stuff we've sent. A couple quick announcements. We are going to be emailing out this presentation, plus we're actually getting this recorded as well. And I just want to emphasize that the application to be an OCL, which you should notice has nothing about a resume, about entrepreneurship like experience, right? It's about yourself and your ideas. This is going to be due on September 19th. So that's 9 days from now. So it's not very long. Be yourself, be honest. That's all we're looking for. And the second thing is we are going to be doing, this is good because we get a lot of people understanding what's happening in CORE, but we're going to be doing more intimate sort of like casual coffee chats that are going to be publicized this weekend. So stay tuned for that. If you have more questions, definitely come to the coffee chats. But I just want to emphasize that like we are so excited for the semester. We've been already trying to build up a lot of momentum this summer, and every core person here is just so excited to meet you. So stay tuned, stay in the loop, and we hope to see you all soon. Have a good night, everyone.
We have a couple of questions, Max.
Thank you.
Our interviews.
And I'll hang out for some questions if you guys want to stay on.
It says, are interviews part of the application process? Do you want to answer
that? Interviews are part of the application process. Oh, sorry. Did someone else want to jump in? Oh, someone was just saying something. So interviews, interviews are part of the application process. That's the short answer. But it's not a job interview, right? It's mostly just like, we're going to chat, hear why you're interested in joining CORE, and just take, have a kind of good conversation rather than like grill you on anything. There's nothing technical about it. It's really not meant to deter people at all. It's supposed to just be a chance. Yeah.
Very chill.
Yeah.
It says, where will the coffee chats be posted?
If you're interested in joining, we'll be featuring the coffee chat registration signups on our social media platforms, specifically Instagram and Facebook. On Facebook, we're Columbia Organization of Rising Entrepreneurs. On Instagram, we're @core, like the word CU, which I dropped in the chat, and you should follow regardless. And there'll be a space to check it out on the website. You'll be able to see who you're signing up for a chat with and a little bit about them in case you want to tailor it.
And I think that's it.
Okay. Like I said, feel free to reach out, and we'll see you all later.